Mhm. Hari Om all. I take it we are all ready. So let's begin with the preliminaries. Sprinkle water all around the baby and on yourselves. Om pavitraha pavitro va sarvavasthang gatopi va yah smaret pundarikaksham sabhahyabhyantaraha suchi. Sip water from the palm of the right hand 3 times, once for each mantra. Om Keshavaya Namaha. Om Narayanaya Namaha. Om Madhavaya Namaha. Now rinse your hands. Om Hrishikeshaya Namaha. Om Govindaya Namaha. Om Madhusudanaya Namaha. If you have a coarse ring, put it onto the ring finger of the right hand. Om Pavitresto Vaishnavyo Saviturvaha Prasava Utpunamya Chidrena Pavitrena Suryasya Rashmabhihi तस्य ते पवित्रपते पवित्रपूतस्य यत् कामः पुने तच्चकेयम्. Then using your thumb, apply a chandan dot to your forehead. Om chandanam bandhate nityam pavitram papanasanam apadam harite nityam lakshmir vasiti sarvada. If your lamp is not lit, your Lakshmi, then light it now. If not, do dhyan for Lakshmi. Om Bodhipa Tvam Brahma Rupa Andhakara Nivaraka Imam Mayaptang Pujam Grihastejo Pravardhaya. Om Deepaya Namaha. Okay, we are now ready to do Ved mantras. It will appear on your screen. If not, you can refer to the Lakshmi Narayan book on page 25. Om. 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 Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Dhyan Moolam Gurur Murti, Puja Moolam Guru Padam, Mantra Moolam Gurur Vakyam, Moksha Moolam Guru Kripa. Om Swastina Indro Vridhashravah, Swastina Pusha Vishwavedah, Swastina Star Shorarishtanemihi, Swastino Brihaspatir Dadhatu. Om Payah Prithivyam Paya Oshadhishu Payo Divyantarikshe Payodhaha Payasvatihi Pradishaha Santu Mahyam. Om Vishnu Raratamasi Vishnu Shnaptrestho Vishnu Surasi Vishnu Dhruvasi Vaishnavamasi Vishnavitva. Om Agnir Devata Vato Devata Suryo Devata Chandrama Devata Vasavo Devata Rudra Devata Ditya Devata Maruto Devata Vishwe Deva Devata Brihaspatir Devatendro Devata Varuno Devata. Om Dyoho Shantirantariksha Shanti Prithivi Shantir Apah Shantiroshadhayah Shanti Vanaspatayah Shantir Vishvedevah Shantir Brahma Shanti Sarvagun Shanti Shantireva Shanti Sama Shantiredhi. Om Vishwani Dev Savitar Duritani Parasuva Yadbhadrantanna Asuva. Om Ano Bhadraha Kratavo Yantu Vishwato Tabdhaso Aparitaso Udbhidaha Devano Yatha Sadamidvridhe Asanna Prayuvo Rakshitaro Dive Dive. Om Devanam Bhadra Sumatirrijuyatam Devanam Rathirabhino Nivartatam Devanam Sakyam Upasedima Vayam Devan Ayuhu Pratirantu Jivase. Om Tan Purvaya Nividahu Mahevayam Bhagam Vitram Aditindakshamastridham Aryamanam Varunagam Somamashvina Saraswati Nah Subhaga Mayaskarat. Om Tanno Vato Mayo Bhuvatu भेषजन्तन्माता पृथिवी तत्पिताद्योः तद्ग्रावाणः सोमसुतो मयो भुवस्तदश्विना शिनुतन्धिष्ण्यायुवम् ॐ तमीशानं जगतस्तस्तु शस्पतिं धियन् जिन्वमवसे हूमहे वयम् पूषाणो यथा वेद साम सद्वृदे रक्षिता पायुर्दब्धः स्वस्तये ॐ स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्योररिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु ॐ पृषदश्वा मरुतः कृष्णिमातरः शुभं यावानो विदथेषु जग्मयः अग्निजिह्वा मनवः सूरचक्षसो विश्वेनो देवा अवसागमन्निः ॐ भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयाम देव भद्रं पश्येम अक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैस्तुष्ट्वा वंशस्तनुभिर्व्यशेमहि देवहितं यदायुः ॐ शतमिन्नु शरदो अन्तिदेवा यत्राणश्चक्र जरसन्तनूनां पुत्रासो यत्र पितरो भवन्ति मानो मद्यारि ऋषितार्युर्गन्तोः ॐ अदितिर्द्योरदितिरन्तरिक्षम् अदितिर्माता स पिता स पुत्रः विश्वे देवा अदितिः पञ्चजना अदितिर्जातम् अदितिर्जनित्वम् ॐ ऋचं वाचं प्रपद्ये मनो यजुः प्रपद्ये साम प्राणं प्रपद्ये चक्षुः श्रोत्रं प्रपद्ये वागोजः सहोजो मयि प्राणपानौ ॐ तं पत्नीभिरनुकच्छेम देवाः पुत्रैर्भ्रातृभिरुत वा हिरण्यैः नाकं गृभनानः सुकृतस्य लोके तृतीये पृष्ठे अधिरोचने दिवः ॐ आयुष्यं वर्चस्य ग्वं रायस्पौषमुद्भिदम् इदग्वं हिरण्यं वर्चस्व जैत्राय विशिताद्युमाम् ॐ द्योः शान्तिरन्तरिक्षगुं शान्तिः पृथिवी शान्तिरापः शान्तिरोषधयः शान्तिः वनस्पतयः शान्तिर्विश्वे देवाः शान्तिर्ब्रह्म शान्तिः सर्वगुं शान्तिः शान्तिरेव शान्तिः सामा शान्तिरेधि ॐ यतो यतः समीहसे ततो नो अभयं कुरु शन्नः कुरु प्रजाभ्यो भयन्नः पशुभ्य ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः सुशान्तिर्भवतु ॐ हे हे रम्ब त्वमेह्येहि अम्बिका त्र्यम्बकात्मज सिद्धि बुद्धिपते रक्ष लक्ष लाभ पितुः पितः नागास्य नागहारत्वं गणराजा चतुर्भुज भूषितः स्वायुधैर्दिव्यैः पाशाङ्कुश परश्वधैः आवाहयामि पूजार्थं रक्षार्थं च मम कृतः इहां गत्य गृहाण त्वं पूजां क्रतुं च रक्ष मे ॐ मनोज्जवं मारुततुल्यवेगं जितेन्द्रियं बुद्धिमतां वरिष्ठं वातात्मजं वानरयुक्तमुख्यं श्रीरामदूतं शरणं प्रपद्ये अंजनीगर्भसम्भूतं कपीन्द्रं सचिवोत्तमं रामप्रियं नमस्तुभ्यं हनुमान रक्ष सर्वदा ॐ ध्यायेदाजानुबाहुं धृतशरधनुषं बद्धपद्मासनस्थं पीतं वासोवसानं नवकमलदलस्पर्धिनेत्रं प्रसन्नं वामाङ्कारूढा सीतामुखकमलमिललोचनं नीरदाभन्नाना अलङ्कारदीप्तं ददत मुरुचटा मण्डलं रामचंद्रम। ओम यम ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्र रुद्रमरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैः गायन्ति यं सामगाः ध्यानावस्थित तद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनो यस्यान्तं न विदुः सुरासुरगण देवाय तस्मै नमः। ओम वसुदेव सुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं मूकं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवम्। ओम शान्तं पद्मासनस्थं शशधरमुकुटं पंचवक्त्रं त्रिनेत्रं शूलं वज्रं च खड्गं परशुम् अभयदं दक्षिणाङ्गे वहन्तं नागपाशं च घण्टां डमरुकसहितम् अंकुशं वामभागे नाना अलङ्कारदीप्तं स्फटिकमणिनिभं पार्वतीशं नमामि। ओम या कुन्देन्दु तुषारहार धवला या शुभ्रवस्त्रावृता या वीणावरदण्डमण्डितकरा या श्वेत पद्मासना या ब्रह्मा अच्युत शंकर प्रभृतिभिर्देवैः सदा वन्दिता सा मां पातु सरस्वती भगवती निःशेषजाड्यापहा। ओम लक्ष्मी क्षीर समुद्र राजतनयां श्रीरंगधामेश्वरीं दासी भूत समस्त देव वनितां लोकैक दीपांकुरां श्रीमन्मन्द कटाक्ष लब्ध विभव ब्रह्मेन्द्र गंगाधरान् तान् त्रैलोक्य कुटुंबिनीं सरसिजां वन्दे मुकुंद प्रियाम्। ओम सीताराम पवन सुत हनुमान राधे कृष्ण की जय। चालीसा एंड भजन्स नाउ।
श्री गुरु चरण सरोज रज निज मन मुकुर सुधार वरनो रघुवर विमल यश जोदायक फलचार बुद्धहीन तनु जानिके सुमिरो पवन कुमार बल बुद्धि विद्या देहु मोहि हरहु कलेश विकार। जय हनुमान ज्ञान गुण सागर जय कपीस तिहु लोक उजागर रामदूत तुलित बलरामा अंजनी पुत्र पवन सुत नामा महावीर विक्रम बजरंगी कुमद निवार कंचन वरण विराज सुवेशा कानन कुंडल कुंचित केशा हाथ ब्रजर ध्वजा विराजे कांटे मूंज जनेऊ साजे शंकर सुवन केसरी नंदन तेज प्रताप महाजगवंदन विद्यावान गुणी अति चातुर राम काज करिबे को आतुर प्रभु चरित्र सुनिबे को रसिया राम लखन सीता मन बसिया। रूप धरि सिया दिखावा, विकट रूप धरि रंग जड़ावा। भीम रूप धरि असुर संहारे, रामचंद्र के काज सवारे। लाय सजीवन लखन जियाए, श्री रघुवीर हर्षि उर लाए। रघुपति कीन्हि बहुत बड़ाई, तुम मम प्रिय भरत ही सम भाई। सहस बदन तुमरो यश गावे, अस कहि श्रीपति कंठ लगावे। सनकादिक ब्रह्मादि मुनीषा, नारद शारद सहित ईशा। यम कुबेर दिक्पाल जहाते, कवि कोविद कहि सके कहाते। तुम उपकार सुग्रीव कीना, राम मिलाइ राजपद दीना। तुमरो मंत्र विभीषण माना, लंकेश्वर वै सब जग जाना। युग सहस्र योजन पर भानु, लील्यो ताहि मधुर बल जानो। प्रभु मुद्रिका मेरी मुख माहि, जलधि लांघि गए अचरज नाहि। दुर्गम काज जगत के जेते, सुगम अनुग्रह तुमरे तेते। राम दुआरे तुम रखवारे, होठ न आज्ञा बिन पैसारे। सब सुख लहै तुम्हारी शरणा, तुम रक्षक काहू को डरना। अपना तेज समात आपे, तीनों लोक काटते काबे। ऊँट पिशाच निकट नहीं आवे, महावीर जब नाम सुनावे। नाशे रोग हरे सब पीरा, जपत निरंतर हनुमत वीरा। संकट से हनुमान जुड़ावे, मन क्रम वचन जान जो लावे। सब पर राम तपस्वी राजा, तिनके काज सकल तुम साजा। और मनोरथ जो कोई लावे, सोई अमित जीवन बल पावे। चारों युग परताप तुम्हारा, है प्रसिद्ध जगत उजियारा। साधु संत के तुम रखवारे, असुर निकंदन राम दुलारे। अष्ट सिद्धि नव निधि दाता, असबर दीन जानकी माता। राम रसायन तुमरे पासा, मंगल मूर्ति राम लखन सीता सहित हृदय बसौ सुरभूप सियावर रामचंद्र की जय। पवन सुत हनुमान की जय। उमापति महादेव की जय। भजे शिव ओंकारा जय जय। भजे शिव ओंकारा भजे शिव ओंकारा जय जय। भजे शिव ओंकारा सीताराम पवन सुत हनुमान राधे कृष्ण की जय।
Now we are busy with Bhagavad Gita, chapter 4, verse number 32. Bhagavad Gita, chapter 4, verse 32. Let's read. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Evam Bahuvidham Yagya. Evam Bahuvidham Yagya. Vitata Brahmano Mukhe. Vitata Brahmano Mukhe. Karma Gyan Vidhitan Sarvan. Karma Gyan Vidhitan Sarvan. Evam Gyatva Vimokshase. Evam Gyatva Vimokshase. Let's read it again. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Evam Bahuvidha Yagya Vitata Brahmano Mukhe. Karmajan Vidhitan Sarvan. Evam Gyatva Vimokshase. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. So let us look at some of the key words in this verse. Bahu Vidha. Bahu means many. Vidha means kinds, various kinds. Yagya. There are various kinds of yagya. Yagya is a word that should be used. It is often translated to mean sacrifice, but actually it means any kind of activity that is appeals to the Lord and is done as an offering to Him. Okay? So yagya, many kinds of yagya. Vitata, brahmano mukhe. So they are, if you want to use the word spread out, brahmano mukhe. Literally that means, mukhe means at the mouth of Brahman. But obviously there is another meaning for this as well, that all these yajna are given in the Vedas. Brahmano is referred to as the Vedas as well. Then the next line, Karmajan Vidhi. Vidhi means know, Karmajan. Karma ja, to be born of action. So know all of these various kinds of yajna to be born of action. Sarvan means all. And he, Gyatva, who knows this, Vimokshase, who understands this, Vimokshase will be freed. So I say, बहुत प्रकार के यज्ञ वेदों में विस्तार किया गए हैं और उन सब को शरीर, मन, इंद्रिय की क्रिया द्वारा उत्पन्न होने वाला जानकर बंधन से मुक्त हो जाएगा. So those who understand that all these yajnas are born of action, they are free from bondage. So again, in simple English, it says many such yajnas are set forth in the Vedas. Know them all to be born of action, and you will find release from bondage. So the Vedas describe various kinds of yajnas and how these yajnas should be performed. इसका विधि क्या है? इसको कैसे किया जाना है? And the Lord says, know them all as born of action. So he's saying we must know them all of these yajnas. No matter what kind of yajna it is, it requires action. So you cannot engage in yajna without some activity, some karma takes place, right? So action is necessary for any yajna to yield results. So understand, yielding results is different from desiring results. Action, as a natural consequence, will give some result. Any action that you do will have some result. We spoil that when we have a desire for a particular result. Okay, so any action, rather action is required for any yajna to yield results. And it means, what does this mean? That you cannot, in theory, engage in yajna. It is more than just theoretical knowledge. I know how to do yajna is not sufficient. You must do the yajna. It requires action. So this is what Bhagavan is telling us. The fruit or the results of yajna can only be attained by performing yajna. If you take any activity, even if it is not a yajna, okay, if you want to cook food, you can't just look at the recipe and the food will get cooked. You have to physically get all the ingredients and follow the recipe and cook the food. That action is required, right? So, in other words, it is of no help having a policy or a plan. For example, to paint your house. Somebody says, you know what, our house needs painting. You say, okay, let me draw up a plan. I'm going to buy the paint from such and such a place. I'm going to buy so many brushes. I'm going to do this. I'm going to get so-and-so to scrape the wall. You have the elaborate plan, but you don't implement the plan. So what is the value of that plan? It's no value, right? So similarly, you cannot have a strategy or a plan to provide water in the rural areas. Or if you take any dwelling area, Malvern or Marion Hill, or Reservoir Hills, you cannot say we want to make sure that water gets to all these homes and have that plan, but you don't do anything about it. So this statement, what is the statement? Know them all to be born of action. Bhagwan is using that statement to remind us to act and not to just theorize, not to just plan. You cannot get water into all the homes by sitting in the office and planning only. It has to go beyond the plan. You cannot have your house painted by having an elaborate 10-point plan. How are you going to do it? You now need to start doing, right? So in the previous few verses, we heard about hearing being offered as a sacrifice, as a yajna. We heard of the offering of the senses as a yajna. We heard how we can offer our wealth and material things as a yajna. And how we can follow rigid vows as yajna. Right? So sometimes you may say, as part of my yajna, I'm going to follow Purnima Vrat every month, or I'm going to follow Trayodash Vrat every month, or I'm going to follow Ekadashi Vrat every month. This is a vow, a formal pledge that you're going to do that. But you need to now implement that, right? So these are the various kinds of yajnas. There are many more. So our speech too can be offered as a yajna. But such a yajna, in theory, must be reflected in our actual speaking. If you want to offer your speech as yajna, then we must speak sincerely, always. We must speak truthfully. We must speak in such a manner that it doesn't cause harm to others, it doesn't abuse others. Then that is yajna in action. That is yajna in action. So here Bhagwan is pointing out that knowledge of yajna is essential for success in this world and of course in the hereafter. But he also indicates that this is not the final knowledge. We need to realize that yajna is in the field of activity, action is required. And that reality is beyond that, it's transcendental to the material world, right? So this understanding, this transcendental state actually frees us. And of course, you'll get a more elaborate explanation of that in further verses, right? But looking at this verse again, another way of understanding this verse is that all the various yajnas open our path towards Brahman. It says Brahmano Mukhe. In this verse it says Evam Bahu Vidha Yajna Vitata Brahmano Mukhe. That means all these yajnas are offered in front of Brahman. Okay? That means it is, if you take the literal meaning, it is spread out at the mouth of Brahman. And Brahman refers to the Supreme. Right? So whatever the approved yajnas we conduct according to the prescribed vidhi, whatever yajnas that are approved by our scriptures and we perform according to scriptural vidhi, all of that will lead to the same goal. And what is that goal? Brahman, the supreme consciousness. Or when it says it will release us from bondage. So we must understand yajna to be, if I can use the word, I cannot find a better word, to be a tool to take us towards Brahman. It is a passage, a pathway. So various different yajnas are given. And if you choose to do one of those yajnas throughout your life with the intention of becoming freed from material bondage, then that it has to be offered to the Supreme Lord. No matter who, even though you are speaking kindly to your husband or your wife, if you are doing it as an offering to Bhagwan, although you are talking to your husband or your wife, that is reaching Bhagwan. And that is where the freedom comes from. The intention behind the yajna gives that freedom. Yeah, we'll conclude Bhagavad Gita here. We're going on to Ramayana. So today we are reading Balkan Doha number 203. But first we'll read the Pratana. Om Jai Sumirat Siddhi Hoy Sitaram Gananayak Karibar Badana Karau Anugraha Soy Sitaram Buddhirasi Subhaguna Sadana Mukha Hoy Bachal Sitaram Pangu Chadhai Girivar Gahana जासु कृपा सुदयाल सीताराम, द्रवो सकल कलिमल दहन, नील सरोरुह श्याम सीताराम, तरुण अरुण बारिज नयन, करौ सुमम उरधाम सीताराम, सदा क्षीर सागर शयन, कुंद इंदु समदेह सीताराम, उमारमन करुणा अयन, जाहि दीन पर नेह सीताराम, करो कृपा मरदन मयन, बंधो गुरुपद कंज सीताराम, कृपा सिंधु नर रूप हरि, महामोह तम पुंज सीताराम, जासु बचन रवि कर निकर, सियावर रामचंद्र की जय, पवन सुत हनुमान की जय, उमापति महादेव की जय। कथा आरंभ होत है, सुनहु वीर हनुमान राम, सुनहु वीर हनुमान, आसन को प्रभु आइए, सिया सखा सहित भगवान, सियावर रामचंद्र की जय, पवन सुत हनुमान की जय, उमापति महादेव की जय। बालकांड दोहा नंबर 203। भोजन करत चपल चित, हित उत अवसर पाई, भाजी चले किलकत मुख, ददि ओदन लपटाई, सियावर रामचंद्र की जय, पवन सुत हनुमान की जय, उमापति महादेव की जय। राम सिया राम जय जय राम, राम सिया राम जय जय राम, बाल चरित अति सरल सुहाए, सारद शेष शंभु श्रुति गाए, जिन कर मन इन्ह सन नहीं राता, ते जन वंचित किए विधाता, राम सिया राम जय जय राम, राम सिया राम जय जय राम, भये कुमार जब ही सब भ्राता, दीन जनेऊ गुरु पितु माता, गुरु गृह गए पढ़न रघुराई, अल्प काल विद्या सब आई, राम सिया राम जय जय राम, राम सिया राम जय जय राम, जाकी सहज श्वास श्रुति चारी, सो हरि पढ़ यह कौतुक भारी, विद्या विनय निपुण गुणशीला, खेल ही खेल सकल नृप लीला, राम सिया राम जय जय राम, राम सिया राम जय जय राम, करतल बाण धनुष अति सोहा, देखत रूप चराचर मोहा, जिन भी तिन्ह बिहरही सब भाई, थकित हो ही सब लोग लुगाई, राम Siya Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Ram, Siya Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Kausalpur Basi Nara, Nari Bridha Arubal Rama, Nari Bridha Arubal, Pranahute Priya Lagat, Sabakahu Ram Kripal, Siyavar Ramchandra ki Jai, Pavan Sutta Hanuman ki Jai, Umapati Mahadev ki Jai. So, we're discussing here the Bal Leelas of Ramchandra ji and the brothers. What childhood sport or games or fun they engaged in, and how that gave a great deal of fun and joy, not only to the parents, but everybody around them. So they're talking now about bhojan. Bhojan karata chapala chita ita uta avasarupai. So while eating, chapala chitta, chitta is the mind. The mind was not focused on the eating. They were more interested in other things, right? Ita uta avasarupai. And finding the opportunity, avasarpai, ita uta, what did they do? Bhaji chale kilakat mukha dadi o dana zapatai. So, अवसर पाकर मुंह में दही भात लपटाए किलकारी मारते हुए इधर उधर भाग चले, इधर उधर भाग चले. They would dahi bhat. What were they eating? They were eating dahi bhat. So it will tell you that this was at a very young age, because they were eating simple, easily digestible foods, no extra oil and masala, simple food, dahi bhat. So there's a lesson for all of us who have little children in our homes. For the first few months, the food must be simple, easily digestible food that is nutritious. And dahi bhat is an example of that. It represents all simple, easily digestible, nourishing foods. Right? So what did they do? They had that smeared on their mouth and they ran away, jumping around hither and thither, making happy sounds, laughing and enjoying themselves. Right? So this is exactly how children behave. And why should Bhagwan behave like this? Because if you remember the Stuti Bhaya Pragati Kripala Dina Dayala, what did Kaushalya say? That you must behave like a child. She appealed to Bhagwan to abandon his four-handed form and to behave like a child. So he is behaving like a child and giving her joy. So Bhagwan is always ready to please his devotee. And the devotee Kaushalya asked him to give her joy. Here he is giving her this joy. बाल चरित अति सरल सुहाए. श्री रामचंद्र जी के बहुत ही सरल और सुंदर बाल लीलाओं को सरस्वती, शेष जी, शिव जी और वेदों ने गान किया. So this childhood sport of Ramchandra ji has been sung about by Saraswati Mata, by Shesh ji, by Shiv ji, and the Vedas. And Tulsidas ji says, Jin kar man inha san nahi rata, te jan panchit kiye vidhata. That those people, jinka man in leelao mein anurakt nahi hua, those who do not have a love and attachment to these kathas of the childhood sport of Ramchandra ji. तुलसीदास जी says, विधाता ने उन्हें मनुष्यों को वंचित कर दिया, उन मनुष्यों को. So those human beings have been completely unfavorable. They have lost out on an opportunity. Vidhata has made them such. So in other words, Tulsidas ji is saying, we should all be excited and happy about to listen to the Bal Leelas of Bhagwan. Bhaye Kumar Jabahi Sab Bhrata, Deen Janeu Guru Pitu Mata. So, Johi, see this word, Johi. Johi means as soon as. So, what does this as soon as imply? What does it symbolize? It means there was no delay. Johi, sab bhai Kumar Avastha ke hue. When they were old enough, Kumar Avastha, young boys, Kumar, as soon as they were young boys, त्यों ही immediately Guru, Pita और माता ने उनका यज्ञोपवीत संस्कार कर दिया. They did the यज्ञोपवीत संस्कार, what is we refer to as the Janeu sanskar. So they did the yajñopavit. Who did this? The first person mentioned here is Guru, Pita, or Mata. So those three are the key in making sure that the children get the right sanskars. And the yajñopavit sanskar is one of the key sanskars. And many people will tell you incorrectly that these sanskars are for Brahmins only. That means those who are born into Brahmin families. But if you understand Ramchandraji, Lakshman, Bharat, and Shatrughna, they were Kshatriya. And the Janeu sanskar was done for them. Everybody who wants to advance in our dharma, who want to advance spiritually, need to do the Janeu sanskar or the Upnayan sanskar. Because what is the Upnayan sanskar? Upnayan means going close to a guru who will give you jnana. So what happens? They went, it's after this Upnayan sanskar, Shri Raghunath ji bhaiyo sahit guru ke ghar mein vidya parne gaye. So they went to the guru's house and studied. What did they study? Firstly, before the studies, they had to follow rules. There has to be strict discipline about how they lead their lives. When the discipline was there, then they were ready to study. So we need to also teach our children these things. When they are at an age to begin their studies, they should already have developed certain disciplines. Right? In the modern school system, before the child learns in the formal education system of grade 1, grade 2, grade 3, he goes to what is called readiness classes, preschool, right? So that he is taught that he must sit at one place for a certain amount of time, how he must have his snacks in between, how he must concentrate. All of these disciplines are taught. So a child in Hindu sanskar must observe strict discipline. He must be a brahmachari. He must eat food that is sattvic and lots of other rules. I'm not going to go into the entire Upnayan procedure here, but you can read up about these. And so they go to the Guru Kul or the Guru's house and they Vidya Parne Gaye. और थोड़े ही समय में उनका सब विद्याएं आ गई. And in a short while, very short while, they learned everything that needed to be learned. Now, why is it that they were able to learn all of these things so quickly? Because of what I just said. The discipline was instilled in them first. So that means when the Guru was teaching, they were all attention, full attention was being given to the teaching that the Guru was giving them. Therefore, the learning took place fast. But it also says here, Jaki Sahaj Swas Shruti Chari, So Haripada Yah Kautuk Bhari. That चारों वेद जिनके स्वाभाविक श्वास है वे भगवान पढ़े या बड़ा कौतुक अचरज है. So it says that Bhagwan, whose very breath is the four Vedas. In other words, the four Vedas are the breath of Bhagwan. Why should we become astonished when he learns fast? In other words, he already had this knowledge. Bhagwan already had this knowledge. But he had this knowledge and he didn't display it to the Guru who was teaching him. He didn't show off, because in the next line it says, Vidya Binaya Nipuna Guna Sila. The four brothers here, they were knowledgeable, Vinaya, and humble, modest. They were full of these good qualities. So these are qualities of a good student. So even if a student wants to question a teacher about something, wants to ask the teacher some information, he will ask it in a manner that shows he wants to gain information, he wants to gain knowledge. He won't ask it with a tone that gives the teacher the impression that the student already thinks he knows too much. So this humility in learning is essential for learning to take place fast and to be well established in our minds. And that is how Bhagwan and his brothers learned. Karatal Dhanush Ati Soha. And they used to have in their hands Karatal, हाथों में बाण और धनुष. बाण और धनुष was bow and arrow, arrows and bow, right? They were carried in their hands. So this tells, why were they carrying that? Why didn't they carry a shank and a book? Because they were born into a Kshatriya family. They were Kshatriyas. Their duty was to protect society, and they were fulfilling that role. So they had Ban and Dhanush, and उनके हाथों में शोभा देते हैं. It looked so pleasing in their hands. So beauty in this case is described when you do that which you are naturally inclined to do. And therefore, we must be very careful when our children are choosing courses to study at school or at college. Don't insist that they must become lawyers or they must become auditors if it is not natural for them. That is not their liking. They may have an interest in other fields of study. Allow them to do so, because doing what comes naturally to them gives them beauty. In other words, there is success in what they do, right? And seeing their forms, Dekata Rupa Chara Chara Moha, the Char and Achar, all beings moving and not moving, all beings, Char and Achar, mohit ho jate hai. They are overcome with love and attachment to the four brothers. वे सब भाई जिन गलियों में खेलते हैं, in whichever streets or lanes that they are playing, the four brothers, उन गलियों के सभी स्त्री पुरुष उनको देखकर स्नेह से शिथिल हो जाते हैं. They are the men and women, स्त्री and पुरुष, men and women who see them playing, they are overcome with love. और कौशलपुर के रहने वाले, कौशलपुर बासी नर नारी वृद्ध अरुबाल, all those who lived in Kausalpur or in Ayodhya, who were they? Nar, Nari, Vridh or Baal. Men, women, the old, the elderly और बाल, the children, सभी को श्री रामचंद्र जी प्राणों से भी बढ़कर प्रिय लगते हैं. And to all of them, Ramchandra ji was more loving than their own lives. They loved him more than they loved their own lives. But why is it that they loved Sri Ramchandra ji so much? Maybe we can learn to make ourselves be appealing to others if we understand what made Ramchandra ji so loved among the people of Ayodhya. There's a key word here. Prana hote priya lagata sab kahu Ram kripal. Because he was kripalu. He always showed mercy to others. So if we want to be attractive to people, then we must act in a way that makes us attractive. Our behavior must be attractive. We don't have to carry a bow and arrow like Ramchandra ji if that is not our natural inclination. But we must act in a way that attracts good people to us, that makes us loved by good people. So coming back to this carrying of the bow and arrow, not everybody in Ayodhya was carrying bow and arrows. The Kshatriyas were carrying bow and arrows. Now bring that into the modern world. Who is supposed to be carrying guns? It's supposed to be those who protect society. But it seems that in modern society, there are more people who cause harm to society carrying guns than people who protect society who are carrying guns. And it's something that we as a society need to address. We need to change the mindset of people so that they cause less harm to society, and that those who are supposed to protect society will do so. So we'll conclude here. Katha visarjan hot hai, sunaho veer Hanuman, आसन को प्रभु जाइए, सिया सखा सहित भगवान, सियावर रामचंद्र की जय, पवन सुत हनुमान की जय, उमापति महादेव की जय. Bhajans now.
अच्युतं केशवं कृष्ण दामोदरम्, अच्युतं केशवं कृष्ण दामोदरम्, रामनारायणं जानकी वल्लभं, रामनारायणं जानकी वल्लभम्, अच्युतं केशवं कृष्ण दामोदरम्, अच्युतं केशवं कृष्ण दामोदरम्, रामनारायणं जानकी वल्लभं, रामनारायणं जानकी वल्लभम्. कौन कहते हैं भगवान आते नहीं, कौन कहते हैं भगवान आते नहीं, भक्त मीरा के जैसे बुलाते नहीं, भक्त मीरा के जैसे बुलाते नहीं, अच्युतं केशवं कृष्ण दामोदरम्, रामनारायणं जानकी वल्लभम्. कौन कहते नहीं, कौन कहते भगवान खाते नहीं, कौन कहते हैं भगवान नाचते नहीं, कौन कहते हैं भगवान नाचते नहीं, तुम गोपी के जैसे नचाते नहीं, तुम गोपियों के जैसे नचाते नहीं। अच्युतं केशवं कृष्ण दामोदरं राम नारायणं जानकी वल्लभं, राम नारायणं जानकी वल्लभं, राम नारायणं जानकी वल्लभम्। ओम सीताराम पवन सुत हनुमान, राधे कृष्ण की जय। शारदे मां, हे शारदे मां, अज्ञानता से हमें तार दे मां। हे शारदे मां, हे शारदे मां, अज्ञानता से हमें तार दे मां। तू स्वर्ग की देवी संगीत तुझसे, हर शब्द तेरा है हर गीत तुझसे। तू स्वर्ग की देवी संगीत तुझसे, हर शब्द तेरा है हर गीत तुझसे। हम हैं अकेले, हम हैं अधूरे, तेरे शरण हम हमें प्यार दे मां। हे शारदे मां, हे शारदे मां, अज्ञानता से हमें तार दे मां। मुनियों ने समझी, दुनियों ने जानी, वेदों की भाषा पुराणों की वाणी। मुनियों ने समझी, दुनियों ने जानी, वेदों की भाषा पुराणों की वाणी। हम भी तो समझे, हम भी तो जाने, विद्या का हमको अधिकार दे मां। हे शारदे मां, हे शारदे मां, अज्ञानता से हमें तार दे मां। तू श्वेत वर्णी कमल पे विराजे, हाथों में वीणा मुकुट सर पे साजे। तू श्वेत वर्णी कमल पे विराजे, हाथों में वीणा मुकुट सर पे साजे। मन से हमारे मिटा के अंधेरे, हमको उजालों का संसार दे मां। हे शारदे मां, हे शारदे मां, अज्ञानता से हमें तार दे मां। अज्ञानता से हमें तार दे मां, अज्ञानता से हमें तार दे मां। ओम सीताराम पवन सुत हनुमान, राधे कृष्ण की जय। जय जगदीश हरे, स्वामी जय जगदीश हरे। किसकी, स्वामी शरण गहूँ मैं किसकी, तुम बिना और न दूजा, तुम बिना और न दूजा, आस करूँ जिंदगी। ओम जय जगदीश हरे, तुम पूर्ण परमात्मा, तुम अंतर्यामी, स्वामी तुम अंतर्यामी, पार ब्रह्म परमेश्वर, पार ब्रह्म परमेश्वर, तुम सबके स्वामी। ओम जय जगदीश हरे, तुम करुणा सागर, तुम पालन करता, स्वामी तुम पालन करता। मैं मूरत कनकामी, मैं मूरत कनकामी, कृपा करो वरदा। ओम जय जगदीश हरे, तुम हो एक भोजन, सबके प्राणपति, स्वामी सबके प्राणपति। इस विध मिलो दयामी, इस विध मिलो दयामी, तुम हो मैं तुमसी। ओम जय जगदीश हरे, दीन बंधु दुख हरता, तुम राशक मेरे, स्वामी तुम राशक मेरे। करुणा हास बढ़ाओ, करुणा हास बढ़ाओ, शरण सदा तेरे। ओम जय विषय विकार मिटाओ, पाप हरो देवा, स्वामी पाप हरो देवा। श्रद्धा भक्ति बढ़ाओ, श्रद्धा भक्ति बढ़ाओ, दर्शन की सेवा। ओम जय जगदीश हरे, प्रेम सभा सब मिलकर निश दिन यही गाओ, स्वामी निश दिन यही गाओ। पार लगा दो नैया, पार लगा दो नैया, यही अरज गाओ। ओम जय जगदीश हरे, ओम जय जगदीश हरे, स्वामी जय जगदीश हरे। भक्त जनों के संकट, भक्त जनों के संकट क्षण में दूर करे। ओम जय जगदीश हरे।
ओम कर्पूर गौरम करुणावतारम संसार सारम भुजगेन्द्रहारम सदा वसन्तं हृदयारविन्दे भवं भवानी सहितं नमामि। ओम मंगलम भगवान विष्णु मंगलम गरुडध्वज मंगलम पुंडरीकाक्ष मंगलाय तनोहरि। ओम सर्वमंगल मांगल्ये शिवे सर्वार्थ साधिके शरण्ये त्र्यंबके गौरी नारायणी नमोस्तुते, नारायणी नमोस्तुते, नारायणी नमोस्तुते। ओम यानि कानि च पापानि जन्मान्तरकृतानि च तानि तानि विनश्यन्ति प्रदक्षिणा पदे पदे। ओम सर्वेषां स्वस्तिर्भवतु, सर्वेषां शान्तिर्भवतु, सर्वेषां पूर्णं भवतु, सर्वेषां मंगलं भवतु, सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः, सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः, सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत्। ओम असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मा अमृतं गमय। ओम पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ओम अपराध सहस्राणि क्रियन्ते अहर्निशं मया दासोऽयमिति मां मत्वा क्षमस्व परमेश्वर। आवाहनं न जानामि विसर्जनं पूजां चैव न जानामि क्षमस्व परमेश्वर। अन्यथा शरणं नास्ति त्वमेव शरणं मम तस्मात् कारुण्यभावेन रक्षत्वां परमेश्वर। बोलो श्री गणेश भगवान की जय। जगत जननी पार्वती माता की जय। श्री सीताराम की जय। पवन सुत हनुमान की जय। श्री राधे कृष्ण भगवान की जय। श्री लक्ष्मी नारायण भगवान की जय। शिव शंकर भगवान पार्वती माता की जय। गंगा माता की जय। यमुना माता की जय। गौरी माता, काली माता, दुर्गा माता, लक्ष्मी माता, सरस्वती माता की जय। ओम नमः पार्वती पतये हर हर महादेव हर। जय जय श्री राधे, जय जय श्री राधे, जय जय श्री राधे श्याम। जय सिया राम।